What's up YouTube, Team Reception here. I don't remember when I did this last, but I figured I would kind of do like a little deck profile on the deck that I have right now. I'll explain some of the choices that are in here because obviously, some of it's going to be a little unordinary. So yeah. First up we have 3 Scrap Chimeras. This should kind of instantly give away what deck I'm running. I just love scraps right now. This is kind of a fairly obvious choice. You summon it, bring back a tuner from the grave, and synchro, that kind of thing. Tuners, we have 3 Scrap Beasts. Pretty obvious why they're in here. They're a level 4 tuner, and they help recycle a lot of shit that's in your graveyard. And I run 3 Scrap Goblins. 3 is a little overboard. I might be replacing one of them. I'm not sure with what, but so far it's working alright at 3. I might be replacing these with Orthros whenever it comes out in the next set. That's if I can get them, if they're not like, $50 to $80 secret rares. I run 2 Scrap Breakers. This also will probably be replaced when Orthros comes out. Since Orthros and Scrap Breaker are literally basically the same thing, just Orthros is a level 4 tuner and this is a level 6 non-tuner with 2100 attack points. I figure I would replace the Goblins with Orthros and replace these with Cyber Dragons or something, just because, 2 Scrap Golems. I'm not sure. I might try to do 3 of these if I put in a second Level Eater. I'm not really sure yet, but it's just a must card for the deck. 2 Card Troopers. Now that it's at 2, I don't see any reason why not to run this. It's excellent for milling stuff to the graveyard if you can't, or if you don't want to use your Scrap Storm. This is a good way of just popping cards into the grave. You can also destroy it with Scrap Dragon or Scrap Twin Dragon to draw a card and either destroy one of their cards as well or return 2 of their cards. So it's just really good. The next one I'm kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to replace it with, but until I do, it's remaining in the deck. It's Gorz. I'm intending on siding this, mainly because every time I play with it in the main deck, unless I am really in a very, very bad position, I never really use it, and I figure siding it would be the best thing to do. But yeah, this is going to be replaced with something, I just don't know what yet. Like I said earlier, I might be considering a second Level Eater, so I'm not sure. Next is Level Eater. Kind of an obvious choice. Scraps will use this thing probably more than anything because it just brings back Destroy with Scrap Dragon, bring back Destroy with Scrap Twin. It works. Last Scrap Monster. It's basically just one of those cards that you just add into the deck. There are some people I know that run more than 1 Scrap Searcher, and it's kind of a bad idea, mainly because it's so weak, and if you end up drawing into it, then you're kind of screwed. So I only use 1. Last monster is Summoner Monk, which is yet another must for the deck. Pitch a spell, bring out your Scrap Beast, and Synchro like there's no tomorrow. So yeah, onto the spells. We got 3 mandatory Scrap Storms. Kind of like the Gemini Spark for the deck. You can destroy one of your own scraps and grab back on like Scrap Chimera or something like that, and also get a draw off of it. So it's just a really good card and something that's a must for the deck. Next is my kind of my replacement for the Book of Moons that we no longer have, and it kind of fixes the whole Scrap Dragon problem because I only have 2. It's Enemy Controller, with the ability of using Chimera to just summon it and then bring back a tuner. I can sacrifice the Chimera to take one of their monsters if I want and synchro into whatever, because again, it's only used, you can only use it to synchro summon a scrap monster, and all the other materials also must be scraps. The tuner is not the problem, it's more so Chimera if I already used up my other 2 Scrap Dragons, or so Enemy Controller has actually worked really well for me. Next is Mystical Space Typhoon, yet another card that's actually really broken in here. You can use it on your turn, or you can set it and abuse the hell out of it with Scrap Dragon or Scrap Twin, because you can just chain it whenever you target it with one of the 2 dragons, resulting in kind of like a +1. So yeah. Next is one Scrapyard. I only run one. I had two before, but one seemed to be a better fit because I kept dead drawing into the other one. Like if I didn't have Scrap Dragon and shit on the field, because at the time I only have one Scrap Dragon, so I might try two Scrapyards again, but I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, it's just something I'm thinking about. I might be putting this up to 3 when Orthros comes out, just because it can search out a tuner that can special summon. So, you know, staple Monster Reborn. Don't really need to explain that. 1 for 1. I only have 2 targets in here for this, but this is so far not dead drawn whatsoever. It's an excellent way if like I don't have Foolish Burial or Card Trooper doesn't hit my Level Eater or even my Scrap Searcher. This is an excellent card to use to bring them out to the field. And I could just instantly use them for Scrap Dragon or whatever I please. Next up is Giant Trinade. Kind of obvious. Most decks are running it now. Dark Hole, again, this is kind of an obvious choice. Foolish, the main thing I use this for is putting Eater into the grave, so I might not need this anymore with 1 for 1. It's also good for putting, I guess it's good for putting a tuner in the grave if I need to use it off of Chimera, but that's also something that Scrap Storm can do. Last spell is Mind Control. This thing is freaking amazing in Scraps. I don't know why some Scrap players do not use this. You run at least 6 tuners, and you run the 3 Chimeras, which can help you recycle those tuners, so you have like an unlimited amount of ways of abusing this card. It's amazing with Scrap Dragon, just take their monster and destroy it. So onto the traps. I have 2 Bottomless, pretty much staple. Since I do not have Solemn Warning, I run 2 Dimensional Prisons. They're not as good, obviously, but it helps get around stuff like Stardust and shit whenever the opponent has it on the field and you want to use your Scrap Dragon or whatever. Just, lure them in. Like if you have like a Level Eater out that you wanted to keep out just in case you needed defense or something, and they attack it or something, you just Dimensional Prison the Stardust or whatever, and Solemn, it's pretty much staple. And the last 2 are also staples, Mirror Force and Torrential. I'm also thinking about putting Call the Haunted in here. I'm not sure. That could be what I take out something in here for. So yeah, extra deck if any of you actually care to see it. 2 Stardust Dragons. Like I said, I only have 2 Scrap Dragons. I was lucky to get a second one before their values went completely up. I heard Duelist Revolution is out of sale now, so it's kind of hard to find Duelist Revolution, therefore harder to pull and get these. Same with Dualities, Warnings, and so on. Next is 2 Scrap Twins, which I actually managed to Synchro Summon this probably more than I do Scrap Dragon, and it's actually in a way kind of better, just for the fact that if they have like Starlight Road out, or stuff like that, I could just return to instead of destroying 2 cards on the field. 1 Scrap Archfiend, just for the fact that I don't have a 3rd Scrap Dragon, and on top of that I can actually bring this out off of Chimera, so staple pretty much. Brionac. Mistworm, kind of a staple if you don't have Trishula. Prefer Mistworm like I do over Trishula. Catastor, it's my only level 5 that I have on me right now that I can use, so, and it's at least better than Android. And Librarian is not out yet, so 1 Black Rose, pretty much mandatory for any deck at this point. Red Dragon Archfiend, people have started to stop using this. I don't really like that, especially now that Spirit Reaper is down to 2. This thing is an excellent card for getting rid of those pesky Reapers. It's also good for getting rid of things like Amher's Blade and stuff. They will not get their effect because his effect will destroy it before the end of the damage step. So yeah, well, before the end of the damage step, because it does it at the end of damage calculation. Anyways, Colossal Fighters is kind of just a random whatever. It's also good against 6 Samurais. I rarely ever bring it out though. And last but not least, because we are now missing Goyo Guardian, I had to put in another level 6, and the only other generic level 6 I have is an Iron Chain Dragon, so I decided to put that in. So that's the deck. Hate it, like it, whatever, I don't care. If you have any suggestions for things to replace, like, you know, what I can replace my Gors with or whatever, just comment down below and let me know. So, yeah, I guess that's about it. Rate, comment, subscribe, everyone. Peace, YouTube.